Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to welcome you to today's panel discussion on the vital role of apprenticeships in the KBB sector. As both the chair of the BiKBBI Education Committee and the founder of the Apprenticeship Partner, I'm deeply invested in how we develop and nurture talent in the industry. Apprenticeships are more than just a training programme. They're a launchpad for creating skilled, dedicated and professional installers. Through my work with the BiKBBI Education Committee and through my business, I've seen the transformative impact these programmes can have on individuals and businesses alike. I've witnessed firsthand the work that is being put into making apprenticeships work for this sector by BiKBBI and my co-members of the BiKBBI Education Committee, as well as some of the sector stakeholders. Sadly, although each individual case is a success, those efforts delivered just 37 more KBB installer apprentices in 2023. It's not enough if we want to build a sustainable workforce that will effectively serve your businesses in the months, years and decades ahead. The industry faces some challenges ahead in shaping effective apprenticeship strategies, challenges you might be familiar with from Damien's updates, and I'm sure we'll cover some of those points in today's session. But today is about seeing beyond the obstacles and looking at the benefits, of which there are many, of our industry not just embracing but actively driving apprenticeships. We have an exceptional panel here, and their stories and insights promise to be not only informative, but also inspiring. We'll discuss not just the professional advantages of apprenticeships, but also the personal growth and development they foster. So before I move across to join the panel, I'd like to introduce you to them. Connie Collett is a senior member of the apprenticeships team at Wickes, a national retailer that is widely known for its forward-thinking approach to installer apprenticeships. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from Connie shortly. We also have Simon Taylor joining us today. Simon started his KBB career as an apprentice and has integrated apprenticeships into his highly successful retail business. So we'll hear his view from an independent retailer's perspective. We will also hear from Paul Miles, Managing Director of Ace Electrical and Plumbing. Thank you, Paul, for conquering train strikes, motorways and traffic to get here. Paul is a huge supporter of apprenticeships, as we heard in the video earlier. And just to prove it, we also have Elliott Perry, who is a former apprentice and current installer at Ace. Okay, so up first. So starting with a business that is widely known and respected within the industry for its approach to apprenticeships, I'd like to invite Connie to share why Wickes made the decision to take ownership of apprenticeships, growing installation apprenticeships themselves and the positive impact it's had on their business.
So I think, Damien's already mentioned, within the industry, there is a shortage and, as a business, we recognise this, and we run a successful installation service. So we knew that if we didn't do something, we were in serious sort of consequences for the future. So, there is a calibre of skill that is self-taught out there. And again, Damien's alluded to that sort of earlier in his speech, and some of that self-taught skill is just not good enough for installers in our homes. So equally as well, our installer network is ageing. So the installer network that we work with, it's got a wealth of knowledge. And if we're not careful and we don't tap into that knowledge, it will just disappear. So the generation that can come through apprenticeships will lose sight of that knowledge. And that's detrimental, really, for the future. So that was one of the other reasons why we embarked on this journey. The impact on us as a business has been absolutely fundamental. We've now got graduates in our customers' homes. And equally, they're homegrown talent. So they're totally committed to us. They're committed to our customers. Their ways of working are in line with our strategy. So we know exactly what they're doing when they're in our customers' homes. And we also now have graduates that have got apprentices. So they are demonstrating the strength of our programme and demonstrating the right behaviours. But equally, we've also recognised as a business there's an opportunity not just for us, but for the industry, but for the individuals themselves. So our average age of our apprentice is 33. So when we talk about apprenticeships, You know, and I visit many suppliers with our apprentices. Their assumption is we're always talking about 16 to 18-year-olds. You know, we've got a huge gap in the market where there are mature students that want to learn. They want to change the skill set that they went into when they finished school or college, and there isn't necessarily the setup for those types of mature student. You know, we see it every time we recruit. You know, the more mature student will come through and their expectations is they're not going to get the opportunity. You know, and for me, we need to be there to give these students that opportunity and not always think about the 16 to 18-year-old bracket. We're also changing lives, as in, and the apprentice in the video actually did mention this as well. So, you know, we're not only teaching these apprentices a skill from a trade perspective, but we're also teaching them a skill for life. So they will take away skills that they can use in everyday life. You know, I was talking to a graduate last week where they were saying, you know, their confidence coming into the programme on a personal level was really low. You know, they feel now confident that they can go into a customer's home and fit their kitchen, you know, and then they feel confident in life to sort of take on other opportunities that they may not have taken on. And we really need to make sure that we sort of capitalise on that. And then I think the last thing from me is we need to always make sure that every apprentice that will join a programme is an individual person. So I find it surprising when I talk to apprentices or I talk to organisations where we don't necessarily talk about learning styles. So people will come and do an apprenticeship because maybe they felt that they haven't got that academic level, you know, and they come to us for guidance, they come to us for support. And we need to tap into them on an individual level to make sure that we tailor our apprenticeship to them. So even though we have a structure and we have to follow a structure and we follow a standard, we can tailor our apprenticeship to every single apprentice that comes through, and that makes it successful. And the other element for me as well is don't run before you can walk. Apprenticeships are difficult, they're challenging. You have to have the right structure in place. You may have to start off small and it may take years to establish and make sure that you've got the right structure, you've got the right success before you expand, but only then should you expand, because you know then you are going to be successful for the future apprentices.
Amazing. Thank you very much. So some great insights there, and we will open up to the floor later for questions. So if any of our panellists say anything that you'd like to either back up or have questions about, we will get the opportunity shortly. So Simon, why is it important that retailers, be it large national chains or small independent showrooms, get behind apprenticeships for installation, and recognising that not all businesses will be in the position to grow their own, what else can they do?
I feel that I come from a background where Simon Taylor Furniture, we are a manufacturer, and we do installations. We offer a full turnkey solution. So we retail as well. And our installation side of our business is bigger than our manufacturing side, which people don't realise. The thing for the kitchen retailer, from what I see, I've also had companies that supply. We used to have a worktop business where we supplied granite and stone and quartz work services to the industry. So I've been very fortunate to see all sides and see the retailer's situation. The thing with kitchens is you can buy the most expensive kitchen in the world, the most expensive appliances, and if you don't fit those properly, the kitchen can look a dog's dinner. And I see that people just overlook that. They invest in showrooms, marketing, infrastructure, but actually the fitting is a little bit put on the back burner, including some of the appliance manufacturers. You know, you've got these big manufacturers, very, very expensive appliances. I speak to them, the heads, and say, well, where's your training? You're all about your brand and banging your drums about that, but the amount of kitchens I walk into and the appliances have not been fitted correctly. So I feel that we need to get courses, and I'm working with Josh Hudson at Rycote College, where we have cabinet maker apprentices to, starting in September, a furniture fitting installation course where you will learn this. And the thing with is, the feedback I get when I talk about apprentices, people come back with, oh, we can't afford to do this, we can't do that. They give me umpteen reasons why not to do it. I can demonstrate, and in our company, it's been one of the biggest paybacks. To a point, you can't afford not to do it. And the problem is, you hear people go on, oh, the youngsters don't want to do this and they don't want to do that. The thing with it is, it's not a first choice career for someone. So that is what the difficulty is. I'm guilty of it myself. You know, you send your children to university and things like that, and then they just come out with debt. Where with the situation and what we're doing at Simon Taylor Furniture, and what we're working with Josh, is we come up with a scheme, earn while you learn. You know, this is a fantastic industry to be in. You're not going to find any AI or internet that's going to kill it. People need these skills. And I have seen, I've been in business, our company's now 39 years old this year. This has been a problem since the late 80s, early 90s, and it's only got worse. I've seen a huge decline. I mean, in the days when I kicked off with it, we'd put a fitter, they'd remove the kitchen, they'd chop up all the tiles, they'd do all the gas work, they'd do all the electrical work. You could leave one person there and manage the whole job. And then it all started to change from when Corgi at the time, which is now Gas Safe, came in, and you had to get a Corgi registered gas fitter. And then in 2004, when the Part P legislation all came out, and you can't do electrics now. And I'm seeing, who's interested in my business, I've always employed my own staff. But during the pandemic, we had a bit of an ageing staff. And when they came back, they realised how little and what they could survive on, so wanted to retire, which we embraced, and we went down from putting them on a 5-day week to a three-day week. So to take up the slack after the pandemic, I wasn't sure how things were going to go. So we looked to subcontract a little bit to take up the slack, and in our business, which the retailer suffers from, it's been in a position where if you employ fitters, you can't turn the tap off and turn it on as you get busy. And with our business, we've either not got enough staff, or we go through a little bit of a lull. So it's very difficult for the retailer to manage that. So all I would suggest to them is that you probably outsource your installation, is to try and work with your fitter to encourage getting apprentices. So we've done that at Simon Taylor. We've got people at Rycote now in the cabinet making courses, and now we just started level 3 on that, and we are now looking to do fitters. And I've come up with a solution which I'm happy to share with the industry of how to do that. So what we do, it's National Apprenticeship Week this week, so we've started banging our drums. We write to the local paper to encourage apprenticeships, and we tried this last year. We have an apprenticeship open day, which this year we will do on Saturday the 20th of April, and where we have an open house. So we invite members of the public, people looking for apprenticeship of all ages, But also we invite their parents to come as well, because we're looking for their parents to buy into this, because we invest a lot of money into this and we want a win-win-win situation. And then we have our team, we have our apprenticeships, our apprentices, they will then demonstrate what they've learned on their courses. We have videos. They come and see behind the scenes of Simon Taylor Furniture. We don't make any changes. They see exactly how their son or daughter, the environment they'll be coming in, and I use all my troops to show them around, and I just say to them, look, just ask these people the questions. Don't take my word for it. And I use them to, and we found last year, we were inundated. I had probably 10 good quality people that I could choose from. And I'm happy to share, we had to decline some people and just say, look, we're really sorry. We can't take any more on. And what it did, it galvanised our business. And also, I couldn't believe how our troops bought into it. Once I showed them what they could do, they were embracing it. When's the next person coming around? And it's also good for your brand to demonstrate to, I've had so many times I've sold a kitchen, and I always ask the customer, why'd you buy a kitchen from us? And generally I find it's a 4-horse race. Got down to about 2, and they say, do you know what, Simon, I could have tossed a coin, really. And I'm thinking, right, what have I got to do to get over that? So we've worked very hard on sustainability and investing in people. And we have in the past, but the pandemic stopped it, we had school trips come to our company. So the school would come for the day, we would teach them design, we would show them how we manufacture, how we install, how we train staff. Because we want those students, and I think because they don't teach these skills in schools so much now, that's one of the other downsides, we need to take children away to encourage. So we're now working with Buckinghamshire Business First, and my apprentices are going to go to schools and do a talk to the students there to bang our drum, say, this is a really, really good career to get into. And you know what? Once you get rolling with it, it's easy.
Yeah.
It's
Thank you. So just to build on a couple of things that both Connie and Simon have said there, and before I jump over to Paul, and I'm sure you're going to add to this, I think it is important to say that we have got interested young people out there. And by young people, I mean anybody from the age of 16 up to into their 30s. And Paul, when I've worked with you previously, the calibre, I think you would agree, of candidate that you got was pretty high. You'll find that a lot of the people that are looking to get into installation have a bit of experience in the trade, so often they're not completely green, but they know that they want to be an installer, they know this is a sector that they want to get into. So yes, there are always going to be people that are going to apply for apprenticeships that are not going to be a fit for your business or your company and the sector itself. But there's great talent out there. Elliott's going to be testament to that shortly. But yeah, I think it's really important that we do know that, and we do know that we're not just looking at 16-year-olds rolling out of school with no clue of what they want to do. Like Connie said, people are...
I think you're absolutely right. And I think, we will get on average for every cohort that we're recruiting for, over 400 applicants.
Yeah.
And they are really high. The calibre is exceptional, and it is getting better and better. And I think, you have to be open to that. And that just goes to show the opportunity we've got out there.
Yeah, definitely. So this is lovely for me, Paul, because we've spoken so many times over the last 18 months on the phone, but we've never actually met face to face.
No, we haven't.
This is very nice to see you here. So your experience is a bit from a different perspective, Paul. So as a successful installation business and employer of apprentices, can you share with us the positive impact that apprenticeships and apprentices have on the customer journey and your business?
I shall certainly try. So back when that video clip was done, there was 5 of us. Unfortunately, we've lost one of our guys since then. He was a fully skilled person we took on board. And the downside to taking on someone that's already trained, if you like, is it's difficult to change how they do things. It's difficult to get them into your ethos and et cetera, et cetera. So unfortunately, we parted ways. So now we're back down to 4. Every one of my team, apart from me, has been through an apprenticeship. Mike, our business partner, who's standing over there, he went through a plumbing apprenticeship many, many years ago. Successfully achieved that. Elliot has been with us, I lost count now, 6 years?
5 or 6.
5 or 6 years. Went through the first KBB apprenticeship programme. Did very well out of it. He is now absolutely superb, multi-skilled, and I say that, you know, carpentry, tiling, plumbing, electrics with me overseeing him, being a sparky myself. The most reliable source of labour I have is via apprenticeship programmes. We've just taken on another young lad who's going to sign up to the apprenticeship very soon. You know, it's the only way forward. It's definitely proven track. You mould people into exactly what you want them to do, and you get exactly what you put into them. The customer service, the ethos of the business, the quality, the standards, everything is there. And which is why we are a very successful small business. But it's difficult to recruit. I can't get more. I can only have one apprentice at a time. It's too much. We can't commit enough time to moulding these people without one-to-one activity. And we're turning over a new project every week, a kitchen or a bathroom. So it is. There's no place to hide. If you're working with us, you're working hard. Yeah.
Of course you can. Share additional skills. So I think you're absolutely right. You know, when you take on an apprentice, you know, our apprentices will come out not being able to just fit a kitchen or bathroom. They'll be able to plaster. They'll be able to tile. They'll have great customer relationships. You know, they would have built all those additional skills on top of the apprenticeship. So you are giving them a vast amount of skill, which I think is really important.
Absolutely.
So if I could, and obviously another thing that we find, the skill of fitting a kitchen is the chemistry between a fitter and the client. Absolutely. All right? And if there's a few things that go adrift a little bit, which inevitably do, the skill is the fitter being able to keep it out of earshot, take control of it, and, you know, they are your ambassador, and also you're working in someone's home, and you've taken out the most important central hub of the home. So you know it's very, very important that in those skills that you teach them how to manage it. And the other thing that I've seen, I just can't believe. I mean, with the people we outsource to, is basically the fitter can just about put a cupboard on the wall. All right, that is it. And I was astounded by the lack of the skills. And actually, when you want to show them, do you want to learn all this? Oh, well, I used to do it, but I sold my tools. And you think, really? You know, so it's just trying to get the right course where they can do a bit of electrics. You can get a Part P. Obviously, gas work, that is a little bit on the tricky side.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for the retail, you have these little issues like a little bit of making good, or I don't do that, can you get someone to do that? It's a nightmare to manage. And actually, they're very small things. But these small things you can address in training, and they will make a big difference into the installation.
And it's important to say that we are talking specifically about a fitted furniture installer apprenticeship today. So historically in the trades, people will have had to do plumbing or carpentry or one of those specific things. There hasn't been that multi-trades apprenticeship that existed. We have had that for a while, and Paul, you've had people that have gone through that programme. And as Damien mentioned before, it's now evolved, and we now have a standalone programme that's going to be ready and rolled out shortly. And Lisa, wherever you are in the room, will know all about that. But that's what we're looking at, and that's what we're trying to get people to invest in, is that multi-skill. This apprenticeship is specific for industry. It can be adapted throughout KBB sector. And by adding in your skill and your company's skill and the additional things that you're going to train that apprentice to do, you are going to end up with that well-rounded individual. And we want more BiKBBI members doing that because they have that level of skill, and that's what we want. We don't want people taking on apprentices that haven't got that level. So, talking of apprentices, Elliott. So, Elliott has been through the journey of apprentice to installer. I mean, fairly recently, although 4 years ago? 5?
2 or 3,
Yeah, probably closer to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you share why you wanted to join the KBB sector? And the burning question, how do we attract more people like you?
Money. What attracted me to the sector was I wanted to do more than one trade. I didn't want to be stuck with plumbing or just electric, because I feel like when you do something like that, there's a ceiling. I've got an ever-growing skill set, and I don't think I've got a ceiling. I think I can learn constantly. But I think attracting other people, it's quite hard, because when I done my course, it was the first one they brought out, and it was there weren't a lot of structure to the course. My first course tutor was an electrician, weren't a kitchen fitter. But yeah, I think mainly like it's just structure and like going through all the different types of the fitting process, not just electrics.
Yeah. And has an apprenticeship for you, working obviously with Paul and the other people that sort of skilled professionals and learning through them, would you say that that's been fundamental in you gaining as much skills as you've got now?
Yeah, that's like the main reason why I'm here now. Like, without sounding horrible, college didn't do a lot for me, and I don't think it was very well organised at all. So yeah.
Yeah. Paul, would you agree with that?
Without a doubt, yeah. I mean, it's the skill of the installers, the training. You know, Elliott has mirrored some of the skills of Mike, some of my skills, and you know, and he's doing well at it.
Yeah.
Doing very well.
So sorry. So to what college you go to?
I went to ProCat in Basildon.
Okay. So I suppose with what I find important with the course, I actually embrace the college. But personally, from only my experience, my opinion, I've found when they need to learn how to use hand tools and things like that, you know, like really basics, how to sharpen a plane, how to sharpen the chisel and things like that, which generally as you fit in a kitchen, you don't really have time to do on site because you're up against it. So with our troops, they do every 1 week, they're off in 7 weeks, and then they go to college where they learn all those hand skills. Because I am surprised with people I've come across subcontracting now. You know, hand skills. I was out the other day with someone, they didn't even have a chisel. I just thought, how the hell do you survive without a chisel? Because you need these. I mean, our cabinet's truly bespoke, so it's a little bit more handmade. But sometimes you need these little things, and the skill with fitters and also training them is there's something that comes up it's not quite right. It's having the skill to come up with a solution to get over that. Because most things I find, they're pretty 9 out of 10 times they're straightforward to get over, but they just come in and make the problem worse and go, well, look, that's quite easy. Just pull it off the wall, nudge it down a little bit like that. Well, I could do that, but no, that's what you got to do, isn't it? It's just, you know.
But it's not just about colleges, is it? And Connie, you'll back me up on this. So local colleges, if you've got a good one and they're offering the apprenticeship that fits with what you do, that's brilliant. But there's loads of independent training providers out there, and there's some excellent ones that specialise in installation, in KBB, in construction. And that's what we are looking at here. And again, Lisa, I can't see where she is, from the EPAO perspective, we want excellent training providers. So we want training providers that will work with a business, will help to elaborate on that basic apprenticeship standard and add in what you need as an employer to make that apprenticeship perfect for your company and what that apprentice is learning. So if you just do bathrooms, that's fine. If you do a mixture, that's fine. But you want it to be able to be tailored, and that's what can
That is
happen,
it.
and that's when it's perfect.
You can tailor it with a training provider. And I mirror what you say with colleges. I think colleges are very, they have very tunnel visioned. Everyone's treated the same. You can have different skill sets, and not everyone is supported through that. You also find You know, going into a trade like installations and with kitchens and bathrooms, at college it's very male dominating, and not a lot of females can get into that. So, you know, we've got a great female uptake on our apprenticeship, you know, because they're supported through that as well. So that's great for us. But I think you've got to work with your training provider though. You've got to give them as much support as they give you, because they need that guidance as in what you want from them.
Yeah.
And that's where you can tailor it, and that's where you get your success.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what we found with that, working with Rycote with our cabinet makers, Josh Hudson, the furniture leader there, last year we had a group where all the employees of the apprentices met up to get our feedback of what they felt from the course and what the course needed to improve. And we came up with some ideas as a group. And then I was very impressed with Josh, how quickly, literally the following week, it was implemented. And then the students all found that. You know, it's getting the feedback from the students, what they were like. Because nobody wants to come into this industry and do a bad job. That's something no one wants to do that. All right? So, but people need encouragement. So I will speak to maybe a retailer and they go, oh, I'm looking at apprentice sign. I'll go, okay, well, this is what you need to do. How much can I get away not having to pay them less and all that? I go, well, it failed before we even started. We slightly overpay ours, all right? Because we want to invest the money and we want them to stay. And what we do with ours, we tier it to, they get to certain skill levels. So, you know, there's no ceiling on their income really. Once they can get to this stage, then they get this, and once that. And then that just encourages them, and it speeds your training process up, where they're the people working it, you're not working it for them. And it's just getting the encouragement into the people.
Yeah.
It's
Definitely. It's about investment, isn't it? From an employer perspective, you've got to be invested in it.
The payback is massive.
Yeah.
It's probably, I like all my stats in the business and I like all parts of the company. You know, I've never worked a day in my life because I found something I enjoyed doing. And I did get in. I was a kitchen fitter and I loved it. I mean, where can you go and earn 200, 300 quid a day, 50,000 a year? All right. And after probably 3 years of training, I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Business to be in.
I think we probably all agree with that.
Yeah.
So, to open up now to the audience, anybody that has any questions for any of our panellists. Andy.
There's a lot of talk always about encouraging people to be apprentices. There's a lot of talk about employers and taking on apprentices. But it's very interesting to hear about colleges. I'm wondering, how do you encourage very experienced kitchen and bathroom fitters, the kind of guys that Simon has, to go into colleges and be tutors?
That's a very good question.
You know, that's a good question, Andy. And the difficulty with it is, if you go back 35, 40 years, there was never a training for a kitchen fitter. I started it. We employ kitchen fitters. And you always go, well, how did you learn? Most kitchen fitters come from a carpentry background. So if anyone's looking for an apprentice, I always say, look for someone who's got a carpentry background, because they're halfway there. So we do need to, first of all, we need to get the courses, because I don't know of that many courses dedicated to kitchen fitting. Once we've got that and established that, then we need to encourage people. And you know, you could do it through the industry, because when you get fitters and that, they're getting into their 50s, you know, it takes its toll on the body. All right? So I would look for people like that to do more training. And we've done that with people we employ, and just saying, look, can you come back and just do a bit of training with our staff? Can you just help and guide them? But I will be encouraging existing fitters in the industry to say, we've got these courses, would you like to become a lecturer and share your skills? Because people learn all this thing, and I think life is wasted, all right? If you've learned something, you don't pass it on. It's
And I think you were mentioning, as in people working in colleges that have come from industry that are going to be training up the next people. And I think that's when we look at the difference between colleges and specialist training providers, and Barry over here from LEAP will back me up on this, I'm sure. With a specialist training provider, and I'm sure, Connie, you've had this experience as well, through, is it Webs that you've used in the past, where they are specialists, they do have those people from industry that are then working as those coaches with those apprentices directly, which can be the difference where colleges don't necessarily have that. And that's why it's really important that if you're looking at taking on an apprentice, doing the fitted furniture installer, you're looking at who that training provider is that you're going to use. Don't necessarily go to your local college. We have apprenticeship training providers that we recognise as skilled and expert in their field, and they are doing that. And would that be your experience?
Yeah, but I would also say installers underestimate the power they have with their knowledge.
Yes.
So when we talk to installers and we interview them to come onto our programme and to have an apprentice, they don't necessarily feel like they've got the right skills. Mm-hmm. You know, they feel like they might not have the time for them, they might not have the patience, and but then when we talk it through with them, and they understand, actually, do you know what, I could do this. And I think that's a little bit what I was saying. I think there's installers out there that could absolutely do this, but they don't actually realise they could. And I think it is for us to support that within the industry as well, and to be saying to installers, you have got the capability of doing this. We have got some amazing installers that have got our apprentices that do an absolutely amazing job, and they will say to us 3 months in, I wish I'd done this before.
Yeah.
I didn't realise, actually, I had that skill to be able to pass on. I didn't know whether I had the right temperament. And you've got to try and coach it and support them with that as well.
Yes. Next question.
Hi. Actually, Elliot, I met you in Basildon with your peer group a few years ago, because that was the first college that actually started it in the UK via Damien. And I have to say, it was quite inspirational from my perspective to see lots of really youngsters. It may be a bit limited, but at least it got you on that platform to start it. The elephant in the room for me is the grizzles I hear from retailers against apprenticeships, because, quote, well, I teach them up and then they leave me and then they start up a business against me.
I think that's one for Paul, actually. I think you could possibly answer that, Paul, being an installer. How do you feel about that?
Do you know what? It's a little upsetting when and it's happened to me several times over the years, to invest some time with people and to get them trained and get them to a point where they're starting to add value to your business, and then they leave. But I guess, the pride should be that you've helped develop that person into the next stage of their career, whatever they're going to do. Yeah. You've had an input, a positive input. There's nothing you can do. They've changed their mind about what they want to do. So good luck to them. Start again.
If I can add to that, you see, I embrace things like that. I don't mind that. My fellow directors aren't keen, and it can be a bit of a stumbling block in any business. Oh, we're going to train them up, and then they'll go off to a competitor. First of all, you've got to look after them to keep them. All right? Secondly, if they do go off, and we do as much recruitment internally as we can. So we get people in our workshop, they want to become a fitter, we put them on, we train them. They go off and do their own thing. And then, for us, that's good. I recruit someone else. I get a few issues where I'm a little bit overcommitted. I can call them up. Got one in particular. Hi, Matt. Look, tell you what, can you fit a kitchen next week for me? Yes, Simon, I can do that for you. We know he can hit the deck running. And then what it gives our order book and our installation team is more slack. So the more I can get that are training up the other people, and also retailers look at everything at pound, shilling and pence. It's not all about always what's in it for them. What about your community? What about the country that you live in? You need to be passing these skills on. And I always say to them, you know, a lot of it, you put nothing into it, so why are you surprised you got nothing out?
What do you say?
Yeah, you know, I think our objective as a business is to put someone through an apprenticeship. Whether they then go on and install kitchens and bathrooms in our customer's home is secondary. You know, what you're shaping is you're shaping that person's future. You are shaping their path. You are giving them skills that they're always going to remember. And, you know, I think that's vitally important.
Absolutely.
I think it's a bit of a trade, and I'm guilty of it myself. You get keen young lads who've got a bit of, or women who've got fire in their belly. They get on, and they want to learn and get on. And it's very easy to get within a business and get yourself to a level of skill sets, and you can see, I can't really move on much further. And the other downside is with it, you can earn more money on your own than actually being a PAYE for a business. And also with that, you get a bit of freedom and things like that, and you your own mustard. So, you know, it's I can't blame them for that, but it's just what it comes with the territory of.
Yes. Damien.
1, 2, Mike. Thank you so far. We have some questions from the floor now that have come in via the app. So this first question is from Andrew Trainer at Trend Tool Technology, and it's for Connie. How are Wickes managing the task of monitoring and upholding standards after apprenticeship completion, both in terms of on-site fitting processes and finished results?
Great question. So part of my team, so we look after every graduate for 2 years. So we will visit every job they're on 2 or 3 times and guide them through to make sure that they are obviously installing to the standard that we require. What I would say though is if we don't feel they are at the standard at the end of the apprenticeship, then we will put some extra elements in place for them. But there is a real strong 2-year growth. So even when they finish their apprenticeship with us, we continue to work with them for a further 2 years from that.
Connie, you are my new best friend. This question is from Natasha from Hockly, and this is for Paul, if you don't mind. How can product manufacturers make your life easier?
I guess more uniform fitting standards or products. You know, a typical example, a shower valve, a bar valve, 150 centres, fittings are mostly the same. But every now and again, you get a manufacturer that wants to do their own thing, and then we can't set it up as standard, and then you find out the fittings are wrong. That's frustrating. I mean, certain things standards should be the same right throughout. I think they pretty much are on toilets, for example. Maybe the soil pipe is set at a certain height, etc., etc. So continuity of fitting standards, if you like, or methods would definitely help me and my team.
Thank you very much. Excellent stuff. A question for you, Hannah. Ooh. This is from Matthew from Caboodle. Welcome, Matthew. What do you think of the government national apprenticeship wage that is some way under the national minimum wage, possibly creating a barrier to entry for career changers and older learners?
That's an excellent question. I mean, it is looking like national apprenticeship minimum wage might be phased out at some point in the future, but for now it exists at £5.28 an hour. What I would say with the businesses that I work with in KBB, they tend to not adopt that. So we are looking at the majority of businesses are paying their apprentices national minimum wage for their age or higher, which is what I would say is probably necessary to be competitive and to help you get the right candidate. As Connie mentioned, like we're looking at people that are older. It's not just 16-year-olds that have left school. So if you've got somebody in their late 20s into their 30s, £5.28 an hour is not enough. They're not going to be able to do that. So I don't think it's particularly a problem in this sector because most people are going above it. In apprenticeships in general, that's a different story. But Does that answer that question?
I think it does, thank you. And I have a question now from Tony from Day True. Tony asked the question to, I think he's not put actually who to, but I think probably most appropriate for Elliot. Kitchen and bathroom fitting is about being experts in multi-trades. What do you think are the most important individual trades in installing both a kitchen and a bathroom?
Good question. Just got to know what you're doing, really, though, haven't you? I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest.
I can help you that. The skill is knowing how to tackle the job. So I see a lot of fitters, they've got all the skills, but they just can't get their head round how to tackle the job. And the way we work with that, we have an installation director, installation managers who have got a wealth of experience who will go there, and I see a lot of it. It's all in the planning. You know, I see, so what we do before we fit a kitchen, we go and obviously do our survey. We then take our fitter to meet the client prior, so you don't have a strange person knocking on your door in the morning. We then come back and we go through, and every project has its challenges, and they're all different and they're all difficult. The skill is planning how you get over them, and 90% of fitting a kitchen is in the planning process. So we sit down and we go through that, and we've hopefully ironed out most of that, rather than we start on day one looking for a cure to all the problems, is to work on a preventative basis.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I'll go back to my experience way back in the day when working for Mr. Quinn over here and company. Say hello, Mr. Quinn. Yes, I did work for him. I don't look old enough, do I, surely? Well, he don't. That's just what I should say. But way back in the day, for me, kitchen, bedroom and bathroom fitters, actually the ones that were really worth their salt were the ones who could get over problems on site. So these were the unforeseen things. Now, I guess that probably does come with experience, and Paul, you would have experienced obviously a lot of that. But how do you, and there's a question from me now, how do you, Paul, instill that problem-solving mentality into the people that you put through your business?
As a team, we just talk. Like, so we start a project, and it may be Elliot is going to manage that project. I will meet him on day one with the customer, introduce him because they wouldn't have met yet. We'll have a look through the spec, if you like, what's going to happen with that room, and then I'll leave it to Elliot. Now, if he comes across something that we wouldn't have seen, he'll give me a call. I might go around and pop round and visit, or maybe Mike will go around and pop round and visit. But between us, we'll look at what that problem is, and there's nothing that we can't overcome as a team, because we've got the broad skill set. Simple as that. Manage the problem, move on.
I think that's a really good. Sorry, Hannah. One last thing from me. I think the key there for me, and the sort of the bit that rings out for me louder than ever now probably, is not only how do we attract kitchen, bedroom and bathroom installers of the future, but how do we work with the existing workforce to share their experience and actually bring that into the next generation? Because I think they're as important as actually bringing the newcomers in myself. Connie, you're nodding a lot there.
I totally agree. I think, you talk about problem solving. When apprentices are working alongside installers for 18 months, they will see every problem they're going to encounter once they graduate. They don't see that when they're in a classroom environment. So that's absolutely vital. And that's what I said at the very beginning. We should not underestimate our installer population. Their knowledge is absolutely key. And if we do not tap into them now, our installer population, over 50% of our installer population will retire in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
I think with it all, you can do your college course. One thing you can't teach is experience. And I think what needs to be happening from the government is there's a few grants kicking about, but that you've got to find them. They're difficult to find. When you do find them, you've got to jump through hoops. So what I would like to see in the future is encouraging the government to encourage retailers and businesses to invest in apprentices by giving corporation tax breaks. So keep your grants, all right? But look at it and go, if you take on apprentice, we will give you this corporation tax relief. So then businesses can look at their tax planning and look at their investment and see that, you know, they're going to be able to make savings to encourage them more, that it's a no-brainer and you just can't afford not to do this.
I think that's an excellent suggestion, by the way. I think that is an excellent suggestion. And there are millions and millions and pots of millions of pounds that are sitting around in the levy at the moment that isn't being spent, that could very easily help subsidise that piece of work. Absolutely first class. Before I do go, I just want to hang on a word there that, Connie, you just said there just before, and you said it very quickly, but I want you to reiterate what you just said around the ageing installer population and when they're likely to retire, because that is something that we must all pay very, very close attention to. What was that you said, Connie?
So, 50% of our installer network will retire in the next 5 years.
50%. Wow. Okay. Well,
And that's across the board. That's not just us as a retailer. You know, you look at our ageing population within our installer network, you know, they are, and you talk to most installers, they will be talking about retiring in the next 5 years. You know, and I think we can fall short of that. We can just, you know, if we're not careful, that will catch us.
I agree with Connie, and the situation we're in now, it's going to get worse very quickly, not better, if the industry does not collaborate together to embrace this problem. And I see the problem is easily resolvable. We can make a massive difference in the next 2 to 3 years.
Absolutely.
If we all embrace.
Any other questions? Yes.
who's put that? There you go. Pass that along.
Hi. Apologies if I'm misunderstanding the stat at all, but I was wondering if someone could talk a little bit more detail of the 37, I think 37 was the number, apprenticeships across 2023. I guess I don't understand the disconnect between Connie saying there's 400 plus applicants for the cohort at Wickes, but only 37 took on across the industry. Is that purely just that there's like zero supply, or is it something else? Or?
It's business interest. So it's we've got loads of candidates that are keen. We've got a ton of people that want to work, but we haven't got the jobs for them to do. And so it's businesses not having those opportunities for those apprentices to take, which I think is the fundamental problem. I mean, Paul, when we put your first advert out, I mean, you got over 30, 35 applicants for one position.
Yeah,
and you had 5 that you couldn't pick from.
That's it.
So there are the people out there. We have, in all of the businesses that I've worked with, since I've worked with BiKBBI, we've never not found an installer for them, and a good one. And I think, I'm sure you probably...
Yeah, and I think also businesses are looking for an easier option. So they're looking for, you know, even though we get great calibre, you've also got to look for that opportunity in people. And I think some retailers out there don't do that. They're always looking for the highest calibre. And, you know, you've got to get that balance. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that there's
some raw talent and
Absolutely.
some investment in their training and getting them where they need to be.
Crazy with the level of supply, where if I'm understanding it, Paul, at your business, then if you took on 5 apprentices, that's over 10% of the entire nation's supply in your business. I'm understanding that correctly, yeah?
In England, yeah.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Thank you.
So that we want to change that, so 2024. hoping this time next year we're going to have a much bigger figure to talk about, hopefully.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes. Just wait to get a microphone to you, sir.
You might need an interpreter for me, but I'll do my best. So, going back to the apprentice schemes, this, that and the other. So, this is probably more for Elliot and Paul, I would think, maybe. But when I was an apprentice, you had to leave school with qualifications that would get you on that ladder to get an apprenticeship. So, certainly mathematics, obviously woodworking, and especially technical drawing back in my day. Now, as part of my previous role, I visited colleges occasionally. I went to one, and I was asking about the qualifications of the lads and a couple of girls who were there as well. And they were saying that basically, because of the way the schooling works nowadays, you cannot leave school until you're 18, basically. You've got to go into higher education. They were saying that the people they were getting were the ones who they couldn't educate at school. They were basically saying, look, this is all we can give you. And they were going to the woodworking industry sort of thing, trying to get MVQs, but they were not interested whatsoever. And I spoke to the tutors, the people there, and I was saying, you know, out of these 60 people, how many do you honestly think would make the grade? 3 was what I was told, because the rest were totally disinterested. They were there simply because they couldn't leave school, they had to go into industry or something to go into basically further education, and that was it. So obviously, you know, Elliot, you know, you're obviously very keen to do what you do, so you obviously went into this industry with obviously qualifications or a background that wanted to put you in there. But it seems to me, this goes back to the government scheme again, that these people are basically going into it simply because if they don't, they can't leave school, they can't do anything else,
I'm going to pass
and
this to Connie.
nobody else within that woodworking industry seems to want to do anything with them either. They just sort of think, well, they're forgotten
Again,
people.
I think that's coming from, again, that college perspective of having students that you don't know what to do with, but that's not the way that it works when you advertise for a position and you get the
but
people
again, I
applying.
think if you look at education as well, so at school, so, you know, again, when I was at school, you do woodwork or metalwork or whatever. Nowadays, it's resistant materials, I think it's called. Oh, design technology. So, again, my kids done design technology, and as long as they ticked all the boxes, they got their grades. The stuff they put out was absolutely dreadful. There was no skill set whatsoever. And when I was at school, you were taught a skill
That's not this
set.
apprenticeship, and that's the difference. Is that's keeping
Yeah,
them
but
in
again, I
school
think
and
we
getting them
need to
do
be looking at that level to try and get people back into the industry.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I alluded to it earlier, we shouldn't underestimate every individual that wants to come onto an apprenticeship programme. You know, every individual will have a background, they'll have a story. You know, from experience, from talking to our apprentices, you know, some of them have shocking experiences, you know, within colleges, within education, where they are not listened to, they're not understood. You know, they will come to us with no qualifications at all. And, you know, we are in a position to be able to support them. You know, we can do functional skills with them, we can help them, support them and gain additional experience. But you're right, people fall foul in situations because they're not understood. They're just overlooked. They might not have the grades that the colleges may want them to have, so then they're almost deemed as, you're just here for a number, you know, and that's not what apprenticeships are about.
Yeah, if I could just elaborate.
Yeah, you've got 30 seconds, Simon.
What we do at Simon Taylor, we always have our open day before the exams, so for them to come and encourage them that they need to get to a certain level. Now, college is not for everyone, all right? We get people who work for us and they just don't want to do the college. So we have what we call another tier where we use our own internal training scheme to cater for those people who just can't get the qualification, and then we work it from there. But if we get someone who can't do it, then we say to them, look, you need to go and get your exams, come back to us next year. So it's all about sowing your seeds.
Thank you very much. We are now done. We're all obviously around all day. Please take some time to come and chat to some of us at the breakout times, particularly Elliot, if you want to find out who could potentially work for you. And just before I do leave, I mentioned before the BiKBBI Education Committee. There's a few of us here today. We've got Tom, Barry, Lisa, Nikki. We're looking to add more people to that committee. So if anything that we've talked about today is kind of got you excited and you feel like you want to be involved in how we can progress this forward, please come and find one of us, because we really want to add to that panel and we want to get some more expertise and we want to make a big difference in 2024. Thank you.